guys, I'm coming back with you with a really quick update on where we are at with the body of the Pops Fiero build. What I wanted to focus on was the trunk and the engine compartment, which are finally finished. As you can see, painted both the strut towers and detailed them so that you have quite a bit of detail that stands out, makes it a bit more interesting. And what you can also see here is that now the trunk is fully carpeted. Not only that, but I also installed a trunk light. Doesn't really light up, but it has a bit of reflective backing on it. What I did was I took a piece of clear styrene and I just cut it into the shape of the trunk light, put a bit of bare metal foil behind it, and surprise, we have the trunk light. Now, what I also decided to do is add the striker for the trunk latch. This is just something I decided to do spur of the moment. Just kind of inspiration just kind of hit me, and here it is. Now I'll show you exactly what I used to make that little trunk latch. Let's see if we can get a good look at it here. There we go. Let's focus in on that. Now, before you ask about the carpet, if you go back to a couple of episodes previous to this, you'll see how I did the carpeting on the interior. It's the exact same thing using the embossing powder, and it really gives you a nice, realistic look to your carpeting. This is the embossing powder that I used here, the gray. Silver Argent is what I use, as it really mimics the gray look of the carpeting in the Fiero. Now, let's get back to the striker, because that's what I said I was going to talk about, and I got kind of distracted because I saw something shiny. Now, what I used to make the striker is K&S Precision Metals. It's 0.05 millimeter music wire. This is I think the thinnest one they make. You get 4 pieces for $1.99. You can get this at Hobby Lobby. This stuff is great for fabricating very small objects, as it looks scale correct. Now what I did was that I just took a piece of the wire, I wrapped it around this shaping tool. I think I've shown this to you guys before. You can also get this at Hobby Lobby. It's a jewelry tool for jewelry wire. It's a pair of pliers that has 2 rounded cones on the end, and you can use this to roll the wire around the tip and make bends of different diameters. And you can also use it to cut the wire. So that's what I used to make the bends for the striker, and then I just super glued it to the trunk wall, and that gives us all of our trunk detail. Now the engine compartment detailing is done with flat black. Now what I used here was the Tester's flat black acrylic, which really brushes on very well. I had this paint lying around, and I figured let me try it and see how well that comes out, and it really does brush on very well. Now I topped that off with some Tamiya semi-gloss black for the strut mounts, then I think that was titanium silver and brass for the other mounts. Let's see if we can focus. All right, it's not really cooperating right now. Let's see what we can do about making that better. Okay, guys, I don't think the camera's cooperating with me right now. There we go. I know eventually. Well, no, there we go. As you can see, I got the strut mounts painted in the semi-gloss black, and then all the fittings for the struts are in brass, with the other details painted out in the titanium silver. We also finally have our sail panels painted black in there, as on the real car. And when the windows are placed and the rest of the chassis together, that'll all just come together the way it does in the real car. So there we go, guys. Just a quick update on the body. I'm about, let's get a little bit of polishing cream on there. We're doing a little work on it. I'm about ready to start the marker lights, and you'll be seeing all of that going on as I'm jumping back on the project. Hey guys, I wanted to talk about one of the tools that I've been using on this kit, and this I found is an incredibly good detailing tool. This is a Gundam marker. This is in black. I know it's all in Japanese, but it is black. It's got a fine tip, and I don't know if it's an acrylic or a lacquer. I'm not really sure, but this works perfectly on the models in order to be able to do our black trim. As you can see here, if you can see it, the black trim around the window, which is a very fine black trim around the windshield in the front, was all done with this Gundam marker, as well as the cowling and the wipers, all done with the Gundam marker. This thing really will help you out as far as the detailing goes. Now it does leave a gloss or a semi-gloss finish, which I was okay with for the cowling, but really wouldn't have worked for what I have going on here with the sail panels and the trim around the windows. Now I did use it for the sail panels in the rear. And let's see if you can see that. And it really, that fine tip really allows you to get in there and paint things up. Also, the opening of the sunroof to simulate the rubber gasket there, and it really works very well. I really recommend it. I recently just picked up the Gundam Chrome marker. I'll be trying that soon to see if it's a good alternative to the Molotov pen. Alright guys, there we go. We're back on the build. Now I'm making the signal lights in the nose of the car. As you remember earlier in the build, I drilled out the marker lights that were just molded into the front bumper. They didn't come with clear parts or anything like that. They were just molded in there in plastic, and I thought I could do a little better. And what I decided to do was drill them out, and here I'm building or fabricating 2 marker light assemblies. So let me just go over how I'm doing that. Taking just a piece of sheet styrene. They're going to be 3-piece marker light assemblies. The first 2 are the back portion, which is basically the light assembly itself, and then we have a bracket that we're going to use to glue it to the inner part of the hood, and that's going to hold it in place. As I did this once before, and I found when I did it before that gluing the one piece in, that there's a chance that they may not sit straight. As if you look at my previous build of this car, which I may put a picture of right here somewhere, you'll notice that one of the marker lights seems like it's further back than the other, and that's because I couldn't get it to sit perfectly straight because I didn't put the second piece here to brace the forward part. So after I glued everything in, one piece just kind of fell back a little bit and didn't give me exactly what I wanted. So this time we're making it out of a 3-piece assembly, which is the brace, the marker light itself, and the clear lens, which is going to go on top. Now the clear lens we're making from a piece of clear styrene. And probably going to be the thicker one. I think that'll look better. Which we're going to paint with some Tamiya clear orange to give us our turn signal amber. So once this assembly dries, I just finished putting it in place and gluing the bracket in with some Tamiya quick setting extra thin cement, which basically melts the two pieces together. Now, the only thing you have to be careful of is that as it's melting them together, the plastic is it stays soft. So you have to wait till it thoroughly dries and cures and the plastic hardens again before you move it. Otherwise, it'll stay very flexible and you could lose the angle that you need to hold everything straight. This angle here on the hood and the angle at which the light rests against the opening have to remain exactly the same, or else when you put it together, it won't sit straight. So that's why we're going to leave that there and let it harden up, and then we'll continue with fabricating our marker lights. Okay, now that these pieces have cured a bit, I pulled them out of the bodies and give you guys a little bit of a little better look at it. Now, definitely have to mark them left and right, as if you look inside the body, the molding on the inside there is not exactly 100% uniform. It doesn't really have to be, as only the outside of the car is going to be seen, so that's what has to be correct. So it's not 100% uniform in there, but it's very close. So that being the case, I did make a left and a right to compensate for the irregularities that are inside the body. So they are not exactly 100% the same, but they will fit perfectly within their respective sides because they are pretty much molded to the shape of the inside of the hood. Now, what I did after that was applied some bare metal foil to give us our reflective backing right there. Now all we have to do is make our lenses, and our marker lights will be done. Well, and also paint them with the clear orange, and then our marker lights will be done. So let's go on to the next step. Alright guys, now we have both our lenses painted orange. We have our assemblies with our reflectors already fabricated, both left and right assembly. So now it's all a matter of just waiting for the paint to dry, and then we'll put them together and get them mounted in the car. So we're gonna let that sit overnight. We'll be back tomorrow and get back to this. Okay, here we go. We saw in the previous video, we have our assembly done, and now we have our lenses complete, and this is what we'll get. Alright, so now we just have to glue the lenses to the backing, and we'll have our assembly complete. For that, we're going to be using Bob Smith Super Gold. Dries totally clear, and so far I have not seen it fog one bit of clear plastic that I've used it on. So what I like to do when I use the CA glue is I take a drop of the CA glue, I put it on a piece of wax paper like this, and then I use a toothpick to apply it, which allows you to control it a whole lot more than would if you were just applying it straight from the bottle. Now what I'm going to do is just apply super glue to the edges. Because this won't be seen as only the center of it will be visible through. And there we go. We have one light assembly complete. I know they're not the prettiest things in the world, but they don't really have to be. Because once it's sitting inside the car, you'll never even see anything except the orange reflection. And that's our right side. And now we're gonna do the left side. Okay, those are completed. We'll give them a second to dry. Oh, here you can take a look and you see the reflective quality there. Someday I'll build one of these and I'll light them up. But for now, I think that's going to work pretty well. Now, one of the other considerations was I wanted to make sure that the chassis wasn't going to hit any of these assemblies once I install them, which if you take a look in here, you'll see that the chassis itself doesn't reach all the way to the end of the nose, so that's not even going to be a problem. So we'll have plenty of clearance. Let's just get this out now. It's over to protect. And now we'll take our left assembly. And to test fit everything, as this is the first time we'll be test fitting with the lenses in place. And there we go. Here we have our light assembly installed. Okay, so now we're going to install that into the car. Now comes a tricky part here. I want to put it in making too much of a mess. And there we go. I'm going to use the super glue to hold it in place. Accelerator. There we go, guys. One done. One and done. Alright, guys, and there we go. Our marker lights are installed in the car. Each time the light hits it, you're going to see a nice reflection of the light. Gives it almost a illuminated quality. Okay guys, one thing that was bugging me about the marker lights is that you could see them inside because they were white. So what I did was I went over the underside of the body all in a flat black, and now it's perfectly hidden all of the marker lights pieces that I put in there. And as you can see, they are in there as they reflect nicely when the light hits them. Okay, now we're going to move on to the tail lights. Okay, here we have tail light assemblies. Now in the Fiero, what they had were the two brake and signal light assemblies would be on each end. There were no yellow marker lights in the rear of the notchback. What you had were the brake and parking lights, the reverse lights, and then a blackout panel right in the center. So that's how we have this painted up, using Tamiya transparent red, Tamiya black, and then we just left the smoke panels clear in the center, as they are going to reflect the foil that we put on the back of the tail light here. Which for this, I think I'm going to use the Hasegawa mirror finish as opposed to the bare metal foil, just to get a little bit of variation between the front to rear. So we'll see how that comes out. The Hasegawa mirror finish, as they call it, is in fact not a foil at all. It is actually more of a vinyl applique with a chrome finish on it. And if you go back to my video on the 68 Corvair, where I use both bare metal foil and the Hasegawa mirror finish, and point out the differences between the two. They are each one suited very well to their for different uses, and you can see how the Hasegawa is a mirror. So we're going to be applying that onto the rear of the Fiero body, to which then we can attach the taillight assembly. Okay guys, here we have the taillights installed, and as you can see how the Hasegawa mirror foil reflects the light almost as if they were lit. I really like the way this effect works out. Okay guys, that's going to bring this episode to a close, as the only thing left to do on the body is paint in the marker lights once the chrome paint I used for backing it has dried. Let's see if we can get a good look at that. And everything else seems to be done except for the decals and the quarter windows. But all the major assembly of the body is now complete. So we're going to leave it there on this video, as we're slowly but surely getting closer and closer to the finish line. Alright guys, remember, like, give a thumbs up, subscribe, it really does help us all out. And still got plenty of shop cards available for anybody who wants one. just send me an email. It's in the description to the video, and I'll get one out to you. All right, I'll see you on the next one.